Okay, so we already look at the income inequality. Now we turn the focus on the issue of poverty. Okay, so we are all disturbed by homelessness and hungry children. A lot of you introduced yourself and you said the most important problem in the world that we need to address right now is world hunger, right? So in this part, we are taking a look at how can poverty exist in a nation like developed country like United States or European countries. Can economists offer a useful idea to reform and improve the current welfare system, right? We discussed on some welfare program, a little bit about welfare program before. So in this part, we taking a deeper look into those welfare program. So first of all, how do we define the poverty? Poverty can be defined in two terms. The first one is absolute terms, and the second one is in relative terms. Okay. The first one, absolute term, what is it? What is the absolute poverty? So there is a line, it's called poverty line in every country, almost every country they have that line. And the government will define what is the amount of dollar or income that you should have in order to be above the poverty line, right? So absolute poverty is a dollar figure that represents some level of income per year required to purchase some minimum amount of products and services that you really need to meet your family basic needs. In United States, U.S. government first established the official definition of poverty line in 1964. Poverty line is the level of income below which a person or family is considered poor. It is defined in absolute term. It's based on the cost of minimal diet multiplied by 3 because it is assumed low income families should spend about 1/3 of their income on food. In 1964, the poverty income level of a family of 4 was $3,000, or it come from $750 for food times 4. In 2017, a family of 4 needed an income of $24,600 to clear the poverty threshold. In 2020, if you go to the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation, it is under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. They have the topic of poverty guideline. This is issued in January 2020. So for family in household with more than 8 person, you have to add 4,480 for each additional person, right? So if you have one person in family household, you should have this amount at minimum 12,760. So family of 4 is 26,200. This is the poverty line for family of 4 in 2020. And in different area, like a specific area like Alaska, Alaska is known as having a different cost of living. If you take a look at the gas price in Alaska, the housing price in Alaska, it's pretty different. The food is also has different price in Alaska. It is significant different. That's why they have the poverty guideline in Alaska separately. Alaska, for family of 4, you should have at least 32,750 to be above the poverty line. This graph shows person below the poverty level as percentage of the US population from 1959 to 2015. So the first one, the top one, is the official poverty rate for all person in United States. You can see that it was 22% in 1959, and then it dropped to around 12, 13, 14% until 2000. It dropped a lot more because during that time the economy was in expansion, and then it increased again after that. It increased to 15% in 2010. One part is because of the financial crisis in 2008. It is a little bit lower after that, 5 years after that, right? Part B and C, looking at the official poverty rate for African Americans and white. So the second one, this one is African American. You can see that on average, African Americans have significantly higher poverty rate than the average American, right? And it actually fell sharply between 1959 and 1970. This is 1970. But since then, it remained almost 3 times the poverty rate of white until 1995. In 2015, the ratio was twice as great. So the poverty rate for white is half of the African American group. So this is the fact that I feel like you should know. The problem of these graphs is, well, first of all, this percentage give no indication of how poor the people included are. A person with an income $1 below the poverty line counts, right? And so does a person whose income is $5,000 below threshold. So that's the first problem of this kind of graph. The second one is the poverty rate is computed by comparing a family census cash income from all sources to the poverty line. Cash income includes cash payments from Social Security, unemployment compensation, and temporary assistance for needy family, or TANF. Cash income for the poor does not include non-cash transfer, called in-kind transfer. In-kind transfer are the government payment in the form of goods and service rather than cash, including food stamp, Medicaid, and housing. So they didn't get the money as a cash, but they get other type of assistance. So this graph doesn't show or doesn't reflect those assistance. So this anti-poverty program will be discussed in more detail in the next section. This graph showed character of the person and families below the poverty level. And so 15% are in the southern region, and this is by geographical region, right? So the south has more poor people than other region. Type of family, if the family is headed by female without husband, the percentage below the poverty line of this group is a lot higher. It's at 28%. 26% of families with household heads who have not received a high school diploma are below the poverty line, compared to only 5% of families whose heads have at least a bachelor degree. So those are characteristics of person or family below the poverty line in the US. People or family will become eligible for public assistance if their income is below certain levels as measured by a mean test. A means test is a requirement that a family's income not exceed a certain level to be eligible for public assistance. People who pass the means test may be entitled to government assistance. Thus, the government welfare programs are often called entitlement programs. The first group of entitlement programs are the group that transfer the cash to this family. What are the examples of the cash transfer program? The first one is Social Security, or the technical name for this big social insurance program is Old Age Survivors Disability and Health Insurance, or ASDHI. Under the Social Security Act passed in 1935, each worker must pay a payroll tax, right? If you go to work, you have to get some money subtract in order to pay for your Social Security. It will be matched in equal amount by his or her employer. Look at your paycheck and you will find this deduction under FICA, FICA, which stands for Federal Insurance Contribution Act. Most of this money is used on a pay-as-you-go basis to pay current benefit recipients, and the remainder goes into the Social Security Trust Fund. Now, workers may retire at the age of 66, but the retirement age is scheduled to increase to 67. Workers may also retire at age 62 with reduced benefit. If a wage earner dies, Social Security provides payment to the survivors, including the spouse and children. Payments are made to disabled workers as well. The second program that is transferring the cash is Earned Income Tax Credit. This is a refundable federal tax credit based on earned income below a maximum amount provided to low-income wage earner, with the purpose of offsetting Social Security payroll tax paid by the workers. So EITC, or Earned Income Tax Credit, is designed to avoid taxing the working poor further into poverty. Under this program, the tax credit reduces the federal income taxes or provides a cash payment if the credit exceeds the tax liability. The third one, you guys just got, some of you guys just got is unemployment compensation. I mean, it's not a good thing, but at least the government have something for you, right? It is a government insurance program that pays income for the short time period to unemployed workers. So it's not forever that you're going to get unemployment compensation. This unemployment insurance is financed by a payroll tax on employers, which varies by state and according to the size of the firm's payroll. So it's try to make a guarantee for you that at least you can survive if you become unemployed for a while. The fourth one is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TANF. It gives states broad discretion to determine eligibility and benefit level, so it's different by state. However, families may not receive benefits for longer than 60 months, 5 years, right? So there are some requirements for this TANF program. If you are if that family has a teenage parent, they have to stay in the school and live at home. People convicted of drug-related felonies are banned from receiving TANF or food stamp benefit. In addition, non-working adults must participate in community service within 2 months of receiving benefits and must find work within 2 years. Parents with children under age of 1 are exempt from the work requirement. Under age of 6 if child care is not available. So there are a lot of requirements for the families who will be qualified for the TANF. It is actually not that easy to take advantages of this program. That's the point. Another type of assistance is called in-kind transfers. That is not a cash transfer. It is a payment in the form of goods and service rather than cash. What are the examples of this in-kind transfer? The first one is Medicare. Medicare is the federal health care program. It is available to Social Security beneficiaries and persons with certain disabilities. Coverage is provided for hospital care and post-hospital nursing services. It is also makes available supplementary low-cost insurance program that help pay for the doctor service and prescription drug expenses. Medicare is financed by your payroll taxes, and so you pay if you are employees, right? And your employer also match those for you for the Medicare. The second one is Medicaid. Some people get kind of confused between these two, Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare is the one you pay on your payroll tax already, like every paycheck, right? Medicaid is actually one of the largest in-kind transfer program. It provides medical services to eligible poor under age 65 who pass a means test. So Medicare is for everyone who pay the Social Security or have the payroll tax paid. Medicaid is for the poor, right? TANF families qualify for Medicaid in all states. It is financed by general tax revenues. So the finance source are different, right? Medicaid come from the tax revenue to the government. Medicare come specifically from your payroll tax. The third one is food stamp, or actually official name is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. Began in 1964 as a federally financed program administered by the state governments. The government issued coupons to the poor who use them like money at the grocery store. The grocer cashes the stamps at the local bank, which redeem them at face value from the government. The cash value of the stamps issued varies with the eligible recipient's income and family size. The SNAP program has become a major part of the welfare program in the United States. The fourth one is housing assistance. So the federal government and the state government have a number of different programs to provide affordable housing for poor people. The federal agency overseeing most of these programs is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or the HUD, something. These programs include housing projects owned and operated by the government and subsidies to assist people who rent private housing. In both cases, recipients pay less than the market value for apartment and therefore receive an in-kind transfer.